We don't have much time to mess around, Matt Babich, because today we're doing a 5 round rookie mock draft. We're closing
Adding
the
another
NFL.
round.
We're closing it out with a bang. We might trail off. I don't know exactly how long this is gonna take,
Three
but
minutes.
we're gonna try to make it around an hour, maybe a little bit more. But today we're gonna use Dane Brugler's 7 round mock draft for the landing spots. And some of these are kind of cockamamie. We were just talking about it before the show. So you want to there is there one that stands out to you before we get started here?
There's just a billion that stand out to me. I think the most ridiculous is Tyler Shook at round 2, pick 40 to the Saints. I mean, this guy has literally one of the worst combine throws in history on tape. You see the one where he goes back and does this little flicker and like runs backwards, throws the ball, underthrows it, sails it to the right. I mean, it's one of the worst things you've ever seen. Through 17 picks in 23 games through 3 of his career seasons. 25 years old and only managed to put up like 3,200 yards and a 62% completion percentage at Louisville, where they went on to be like 9-4 unranked. What is impressive about this guy? What is it about Tyler Shook this keeps happening? Is it clickbait, Seth? Is it pure clickbait?
I think it's a combination of a couple things. I think Tyler Shuck, if you just ignored everything about him other than hey, he's 6'5", 220, and he's pretty fast, like 4.6 speed for a quarterback. Oh, by the way, he's 25 years old, and it took him until age 24, 25 to put up over 3,000 yards and to have a good college season. I mean, if you look before that, and he had every opportunity. I mean, we talked about it with John Lobb on this program. At Oregon, he had 2 years. At Texas Tech, he had 3 years, and then he's a sixth year senior, and nothing about him is impressive to me. I just don't get it. I don't see it. I see like Mike Glennon, maybe like an NFL backup, career backup. And if you're going to be taking him in round 2, and this is middle of round 2 where the Saints would be taking him, I would be infuriated if I was a Saints fan. You know what it would signal to me if they do take Tyler Shuck, because all of a sudden that quarterback room is the worst quarterback room in the NFL, assuming Derek Carr is out with a shoulder. Why wouldn't you just blow it up? Like, why would you burn a pick on Tyler Shuck? Like, why wouldn't you at pick 9 just trade down, gather as many picks as you can, say, okay, the experiment is over. We're counting on Mickey Loomis to do something rational, which is not really a good bet,
Right.
but this is what they should do. They've tried, they've pushed their chips into the middle of the table enough. Now it's time to blow this thing up, and what better year to do that when potentially, and I know Cody thinks that Arch Manning isn't going to come out until 2027, but potentially you could have the number 1 pick in a year where Arch Manning, and oh, by the way, I believe didn't the dad, I'm spacing on his name, didn't he play for the
Cooper.
Saints?
Oh, oh, the Archie senior.
Archie
Well, not
Senior, yeah,
senior, but the other Archie
yeah,
Manning. Yes, he did play for the Saints.
or the grandfather. That would be the
Yes,
grandfather.
yes.
Yeah.
Cooper is Archie's dad.
So okay, oh okay, gotcha. That makes sense. So we got the Manning family tree down now. So there, I mean, there would be some history there. I mean, I don't know. Again, you can't. There have been several teams that have quote unquote tanked and failed. The Texans being one of those teams, even though the Texans still ended up getting C.J. Stroud um, in that draft. But Lovey Smith, thank you for winning that last game. But the point is this: I don't understand it. I don't understand the prospect, and I think it's the worst hype attempt that I've ever seen from a member of the media. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm 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 willing to put my tinfoil hat on for this because it does not make any sense for me from my perspective. But some of the other ones, and they're on the screen here if you're on the YouTube. We'll try to do our best to kind of go through them as we make the picks. But I was telling you this before the show. If the Bears take Tyler Warren, and this appears to be somewhat of a popular opinion amongst the PFF guys, Trevor Sikkema, some of the other guys, it's either Ashton Genty or Tyler Warren. And to be honest with you, I would be more okay with Ashton Genty. But if the Bears take Tyler Warren, I'm going to be pretty pissed because Tyler Warren is not Brock Bowers. This is not a tight end class that has an elite option at the top. Tyler Warren is a very good tight end that, if you take him in the top 10, he doesn't have to be Brock Bowers, but he has to be pretty close. He has to be TJ
Right.
Hawkinson, or at minimum, if you're going to take a tight end in the top 10. He has short arms. There are just, to be honest with you, and I know it's not a position of need, really. I'd prefer freaking one of the wide receivers there over Tyler Warren, even though they're not going to do it. But I think I get it. There's a lot of hype for Tyler Warren being a top 10 pick. I don't see it. I don't really understand this tight end class. I think it's good to okay. I don't understand the people who are saying, "Oh, this tight end class is elite." Yeah, maybe I'll be proven wrong by that. Maybe you have a different opinion. I don't know. We haven't really discussed this beforehand, but the point is this: Tyler Warren to the Bears. I don't think it makes a lot of sense because I think Cole Kmet is a serviceable tight end, and I think they signed Dylan or Smythe. I can't think of his
Durham
first name.
Smythe. Yep.
Durham Smythe, who's capable as a tight end too. So I don't think it's a position of need. I
He
think
was
you
the
go
guy who
offensive
worked as the
line.
blocker as Mike Gesicki worked as the receiving tight end. So Ben Johnson could be looking to create a little bit of that using
Yeah,
Durham as a blocker and then freeing up Cole to be a little bit more of a wide receiver 3, and
yeah.
less of a tight end.
There's a rumor that the Broncos are interested in trading up. I know they have Evan Ingram, but wow, as my voice cracks, and I'm not sure why that's happening a lot lately. But I don't know. Maybe the Bears are trying to play a little poker here. I don't know, by floating out that maybe we're interested in Tyler Warren. Maybe they're trying to bait somebody into trading up to get a tight end. I don't know. Because right now, Matt, I think if there's any team out there that is a serious trade down candidate, it's probably the Saints. Like and I know that they're cockamamie and they're making moves to win now, and I don't really understand why. But I also think the Bears could be in that position too, where if they miss out on Will Campbell or Mason Graham, or if Membu gets taken, if they have their eye on him and they miss out on the elite offensive lineman, I could easily see the Bears looking to trade down and maybe gathering some later picks. I don't know, but
Yeah,
is there
absolutely.
anything else that stands out before we get going?
I have one more thing, but I'm going to get into it during the mock. I think I'll phase it in there.
All right. Well, without further ado, Matt Babich, you drew the lucky straw. So you have the 101.
Ashton Genty, always and forever in our first mock, in our final mock. Ashton Genty, 101. Don't need to say more.
Yeah, this question came up in the Fantasy Pros live NFL draft live stream today. And it was, is there a bad landing spot for Ashton Genty? And I suppose the only answer could be potentially the Jets. If he gets drafted by the Jets, would he somehow be usurped as the 101? And the answer was no. And I agree. If he gets drafted by the Jets, I think it means that Brees Hall is on the trade block, and the Jets have quietly built a decent, okay offensive line. So we'll see. I don't really foresee a world where Ashton Genty gets usurped as the 101. I'm going to take Omarion Hampton because I love this landing spot with the Broncos. round one draft capital. It really looks like Omarion Hampton's going to go round one. That's what the FanDuel odds suggest. And if Sean Payton drafts him, I mean, that's just the nuts landing spot, I think, or at least one of them. So I'll throw it right back to you. 103.
With the 103, I'm going to go with this is tough because Travis Hunter's a Brown, and I think that's bad for fantasy, as should everybody.
Ooh, okay. We
Who is
might
going to
disagree on
throw
that.
him the ball, Seth?
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy it. That's fun. That's fun
in Brugler's world.
In Brugler's fantasy land that he lives in somewhere deep inside the childish nostalgia part of his brain. Then yeah, it's Jackson Dart. But let's be honest. Look what we saw last year with Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., all of that going within the top 10. Do you really believe the Browns are just going to be able to sit on their hands and be handed Jackson Dart? Now, if they trade up into the back end of the first round, I still think that gets it done. I don't think Dart is necessarily going to be one of those guys that the Saints trade up for or take at 9. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about that going around. I don't think anyone, comes up to the Bears pick. I just don't see a team wanting to do that for Jackson Dart. But I'm going to guarantee you that Dart is going to be at the back of the first round because somebody who wants him is going to go get him. Because if the Commanders get a call to go down to 34 for the Giants to come up to 29 and take Jackson Dart or something, like, just as an example, that'll get it done. Like, they'll figure out a way to get it done. So I understand you got to start playing, who's going to be the trade partner and all that. I just highly doubt the Browns are going to be handed this Travis Hunter, Jackson Dart. And secondly, again, Brugler's fantasy world. When do we ever see that happen? When do we ever see NFL teams go back to back, like quarterback, receiver, quarterback, receiver, running back, like they do with the Chiefs in round 2 and 3, even though they lost 3 key defensive pieces? Where all the lack of depth in the trenches was one of the things that hurt them most down the road. But yeah, sure. The year after drafting Xavier Worthy in the first round, we're going to draft Trey Harris in the second and Cam Scatabo in the third. Get over yourself. There's no chance that anything remotely close to that happens in the draft. Wow. All that to say, I'll take Cam Ward here at the 103.
I think that's the responsible choice.
Because we do know that this Titans landing spot is relatively solidified. I've been, very forward saying that I think this Titans core with Pollard and Spears in the backfield, Calvin Ridley, more than likely a receiver in this draft. So if they do that part right as well, got Chigakonkwo. They have Luther Burden here at round 2, which again, we very rarely see teams do this, but the Titans could do it. I mean, they had a defense capable of dragging teams down into the mud with them. Like, they were competitive in a lot of games they shouldn't have been competitive in because of how inept their offense was. So if there's any team to do it, it would be the Titans or the Browns to try and do it. I'm going to stick with a team that has the better core, and I trust, even with Jackson Dart into the Browns equation, I trust this Titans team much more to figure things out and be average or better in their rookie season, rather than the Browns, who would probably be, one of the worst teams in the league.
This Browns situation is fascinating to me because, I mean, this wide receiver group, all of a sudden, assuming they take Travis Hunter, because that's basically chalk now. I think most people believe that Travis Hunter is going to be a Brown. All of a sudden you have Cedric Tillman, Travis Hunter, and Jerry Jeudy in the slot. That's a fascinating wide receiver core with David Njoku. And I assume they're going to take a running back in this class too, because they only have Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong right now. So with that being said, they currently have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. And in this scenario, they would have Jackson Dart. Matt, it might be irresponsible. It might be the wrong decision to make. Everyone but me might hate it, but I'm not going to be the guy that passes on Travis Hunter when I believe he's going to be. I mean, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah that came out and said it today. He's going to major at wide receiver and minor on defense. And we've seen wide receivers get 60-70% snap shares and be super effective in fantasy football. And I think Travis Hunter is an elite prospect at the wide receiver position. And if there wasn't this cloud around him that he might play defense and wide receiver 50-50, which is becoming more and more or less likely by the day, assuming the Browns take him, he'd be in contention for the 101 for me. That's just how I feel. And getting him at the 104 feels like a steal here. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's maddening. It's maddening because I agree with you. We go back to our last mock. It's been the same way through the first 4 picks. And I think this is where I'm taking Hunter at the 104. I think if I need a quarterback at the 103, I'm going to press the button on Cam Ward more often than not. But Hunter has just immense upside. The problem is his floor is the lowest of any first round pick in the history of fantasy football because he could be playing 25% of the offensive snaps and mostly on defense. We truly don't know. But what we do know is that Travis Hunter continues to be adamant that he has to play both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, this goes back to what Cody says, and he has a great point that it might be easier for him to hop in and play more defense and get worked into the offense. Learning an entire, offensive playbook with hot routes, everything takes time, where coverages are, from a cornerback's perspective, a little more straightforward. Just, what coverage are you running? So there's a likelihood that he just ends up being a primary defensive guy, but at the end of the day, he has so much talent at the receiver position. It's hard to think that he's going to completely stay away from that for the rest of his career. And again, it's all about risk tolerance. And I think at this point in the draft, if you want to go, Tet, if you want to go Travion Henderson, even Judkins, like I can get on board with that for sure. If you want to take the risk and go Hunter, I've made plenty of dumb picks in Dynasty, and some of my teams are doing fine. So you can have but you can have a unicorn. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's your risk, just flopping a 1-4, which the average, 3 out of your, 3, 4, 5 of your league mates are going to flop on their first round pick. But he could be the 101 if we truly knew his outcome. Mm-hmm. So I commend you for it. I think this is the proper discourse to have on him right now. But again, we're riskier people, but at the 1-5, I'm going to go back to, I think I'm going to take Travion Henderson.
You son of a bitch.
To the Bears at pick 39. I like Tet McMillan. I like him a lot. I think he's very talented. I'm starting to think Henderson deserves to be in this upper tier, especially if he's going to be getting round 2 draft capital. So Henderson, I mean, not many backs can do everything like Travion Henderson can. And he, in his skill set of being a pass catcher, a pass blocker, downfield speed, can hit the corner, elusive vision, you name the traits, he's got them. He is closer in my mind to Hampton and Genty than he is to the rest of the running back class. And we look at Tet, and I'm thinking of upside projection here. I think Henderson can be a true number 1 back, fighting to be an fantasy RB1 in the league for multiple seasons. I think Tet McMillan especially in an offense with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Now, say what you will about either of them, but they are both talented and have struggled to succeed in New Orleans. So uncertainty in terms of, is adding Tet into that equation, does he become the alpha dog, or are we staring down the barrel of 4.5 targets per game to Tet McMillan while Olave and Shaheed each get 7?
Can I be real with our audience and you right now?
Always can be.
You tell me how this makes any sense for the Saints to take Tet McMillan. But I mean, we have to.
It makes no sense. No, half of these landing spots don't make any sense. Dane.
Well, how, and also tell me how this isn't the absolute worst landing spot possible for him. Because think about the wide receivers on the roster. You have Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Don't forget that they signed Brandon Cooks, which I don't know why they did that. That's dumb.
Like, I did forget about that.
Why would you spend money on a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver? And now throw Teteroa McMillan into that scenario with no quarterback, with Tyler Shuck. Here's the quarterback room, Matt. Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, Ben DiNucci. You're on mute.
Good thing I was on mute because I dropped an F-bomb. It's so lazy. Like, that's the word I'm not going to use insane. I'm not going to use crazy anymore. It's lazy. And I'm not even kidding, dude. For how many followers Dane has, this is pathetic. And I'm going to go to Twitter after this and quote tweet. I'm assuming he tweeted out the link.
At Dane Brugler.
I'm going to take shots because I'm not kidding. This is ridiculous. We have very few subscribers on YouTube. We are giving better analysis and at the very least authentic takes that we can be proud of on this channel. And this dude is just like, skill position round 1, skill position round 2, call it a day. And that's lazy. I'm sorry, but it's lazy.
Well, so what I'm saying is I actually took him in the mock draft that I did for my channel around this time. And now I'm thinking, why did I do that? Because how is he going to be successful? I think it's a classic scenario, and you tell me if this is completely insane. I think it's a classic example. If you like Teteroa McMillan, his value is going to drop. Because how is he going to succeed in year 1? Now, I could be wrong. Tyler Shuck could be the best quarterback prospect in the second round since, I don't know, Jalen Hurts came out of the second round, or Derek Carr was a second round pick. We could be wrong about Tyler Shuck. I doubt it. But how is this, if this is what the Saints put out there and Derek Carr is injured, how is this not a team that's in contention for the number 1 overall pick in 2026? And how in that wide receiver room does Teteroa McMillan succeed? I just don't see a path unless he's clearly better.
This scenario is so far-fetched. Like, I don't even think it's worth our time anymore. I legitimately think the Saints team that he has created goes 0-17.
Yeah.
Did you watch that team with Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener? They weren't beating anybody.
That's funny. They started off hot too, and then they just took a nosedive. But like, like this is around the time where he'll probably get taken, and I just cannot. Like, I can't bring myself to do it. I just can't. Which is why I'm gonna take Quinshon Judkins, who gets taken by the Cowboys. I think this is I love this prospect. I know some people out there don't. I've seen evaluations all over the place. I think Matt Waldman, Waldman, not Matt Waldman. Matt Waldman. My brain went blank there for a second. Has him as his running back 1 in the class, and I've seen anywhere from running back 1 to running back 10. So the evaluations are kind of all over the place with Judkins, but He's my RB5 RB5 in this class. So getting the nuts landing spot here pushes him over the top. And yeah, I just can't. I don't know how far not Travis Hunter, Tedero McMillan's going to fall in this mock draft, but I would be, if this is it, and I don't want to, I hate to bring it up again, but I would be letting your league mates take him. That's just me. But anyway, I'll surrender.
It's me. I'm league mates.
Oh, you're taking it.
Give me Ted McMillan.
Oh God.
Look,
go for
here's
it.
the thing. I'm not gonna get too
Playing the long game.
Well, no, I'm not gonna get too caught up in landing spots that don't exist yet. I think there's a chance that Ted McMillan falls in this draft simply because of need. You said it, like you're painting the scenario for all these really bad teams that don't necessarily need like this alpha receiver to get them out of it. So I think if he goes to Vegas, that's good for his value. 107 Ted McMillan in Vegas, good enough for me.
But
because let's not remember,
but he went to the Saints in this.
I know.
But
you're
care. Just choosing to ignore the rules that we've established at the beginning.
You said backstage, draft. You said you do whatever you want, and this is whatever I want.
Okay.
All right. Look, I think it's better on our reputation that we give our authentic takes and not conform to this ridiculous fantasy world. I will lean into some of the ones that make sense. Like I mentioned Travion Henderson to the Bears, because I think that's something that is actually relatively feasible. I don't think they go Warren then Henderson, If they do somewhat go Warren, they're probably not taking it back in round 2. Again, let's be logical. But some of these ridiculous ones, like I just think it hurts the show to pretend that, if all these worst case scenarios happen, we can talk about them then and what to do. But for now, I think Ted McMillan is either going to be a Raider or he's going to fall a little bit. So I think Tet is going to go to some place where his talents will be utilized. I don't think he's going to go to the Saints where they have a crowd of guys and a ton of other problems to fill. But at the end of the day, he's somebody who has a dominant college production profile, like very few we've ever seen before. 90th percentile dominator rating, target share, 80th percentile speed score at 6'4", nearly 220. There were some concerns on film. Some of them are, effort-based and blocking-based. But if anything, Seth, I would rather have to teach or to get my player to care than to work with somebody who can't really close a skill gap. I would rather have somebody be in the middle and not have attitude issues, but have skill issues that I can fix. But with Ted McMillan, all it has to do, he just has to decide that he wants to have a burner. And look at the guys in the NFL that like Deontay Johnson that got away for years, without giving effort on some of those plays. So if your talent's there, it'll be there. I think Ted's going to be a guy who's going to get a 24 to 25% target share year 1, depending on where he lands. And even a 20% target share in year 1 with Ted McMillan, which is very achievable. I think the 107 drafter is very happy with that.
Fair enough. I think we can close the book officially on Tedero McMillan. I think the Saints is a preposterous landing spot, but we've established that. 108, I'm going to go with Matthew Golden. I think this is purely landing spot. If he winds up with the Cowboys, they're going to be playing catch up for most of the season going up against the Eagles and the Commanders. So with Dak Prescott at quarterback, I think Dak Prescott's one of my favorite buys in Dynasty. I think he could have a decent season. And Matthew Golden feels like the perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb. So I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to take the draft capital here and the good landing spot, and I will throw it right back to you at the 109.
All right. I'll be quick with this one. Tyler Warren in a tight end premium draft. I think he totally belongs as a top 10 pick, especially if he's going to be getting this type of top 10 draft capital that we're projecting, and top 15 really for both him and Colston Loveland. So give me Tyler Warren, a guy who's just an absolute beast of a man, getting manufactured touches left and right at Penn State. He can run, he can block, He can out jump you for a red zone ball. So there's a lot he can do, a lot to love about his game, a lot of fantasy promise.
So now there's something I probably should do, but I'm not going to do it because A, I'm stubborn, and B, I just don't like Shador Sanders, so I'm not going to take him. And I freaking love this landing spot for Emeka Egbuka. I don't know how you feel about it, but where Tet McMillan, the landing spot couldn't be worse in my opinion. The landing spot for Emeka Egbuka is really good. I understand Debo is there and he's probably going to play the slot, but really it's Terry McLaurin, Debo, then it's Noah Brown, KJ Osborne, Luke McCaffrey, Chris Moore. He's going to slot in very well to what they want to do. And he can play outside. I know some people think he's a better fit for the slot. I think he can play outside. And with Jaden Daniels, like with all these receivers, all of a sudden, Debo, Emeka Egbuka, Terry McLaurin, they're probably going to take a running back too. This offense is going to be fun, and Emeka Egbuka is going to be very productive in year one, I think.
It's actually one of my favorite landing spots in this entire draft, just because I just imagined, as you were talking, I envisioned the first thing that came up was he is going to be Jaden Daniels' Rashee Rice. So like just the underneath zone beater, quick hitter, like because what they showed with Jaden Daniels was we're going to get the ball out of his hands quick. And that type of offense, if they're able to spread him out, which they're able to do. I mean, JD was hitting deep shots to Terry McLaurin all the time. And then you're also going to be able to bring Egbuka in, work some power sweeps with him running the ball. You can get him in line and chip block on a design run for Jaden Daniels. He allows that team to hit another level of dynamism that is going to be so fun to watch. And now you got me really excited about that. I really hope that happens.
And think about it for long term too. Terry McLaurin, 30.
A little bit older. Yeah.
Debo, he's gonna miss 3 to 4 games minimum this year. I think
Oh
we
my
can
gosh,
just
I forgot about Debo. Yeah.
You can just mark it down. So I think the target shares in year one, I think, can be really solid. But into the future, it could be like he could be the team's wide receiver one sooner rather than later, like within 2 to 3 years. So just think about that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wide receiver one with Jaden Daniels at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he's going to be getting a lot of like free targets from the slot too. Like we're talking like a potential 130 target season, like maybe more, 150. If we're like if he's Amon-Ra St. Browning that offense.
I haven't run through my projections yet, but I would be intrigued if this is
I mean,
where
not
he
year
lands.
one, but long term.
Yeah, like long term, like year 2, year 3, like assuming, McLaurin retires within 2 to 3 years, maybe. I don't know. Well, who knows? I think McLaurin could play for a long time too. You just never know. But I'll throw it to you at the 111, Mr.
I'm going to go with Colston Loveland. I did this last time. I took Warren and Loveland and back-to-back picks at 9 and 11. Never forget. Loveland is also like Warren, an incredible athlete. If my memory doesn't mistake me, I believe Loveland actually might be the better athlete. But don't quote me on that. I might be making that up. But when you look at Loveland's production given Michigan's passing output, it completely changes the paradigm of the equation when you just look at, Warren's like 1,000+ yards and then Loveland's 560, 650, yard seasons. Puts it in a different perspective when you see how high Loveland's dominator rating is. And while I don't love the Colts as a landing spot here at pick 14, I don't think Anthony Richardson doesn't scream, I'm going to feed my tight end. He can hardly feed Josh Downs, who's running 2-yard ins. But he can throw 70-yard bombs to Alec Pierce. So I don't know how Loveland's going to fit into that equation, but I do know is top 20, top 15 pick is likely for Loveland, given what we've seen. I would love to see the team like the Chargers take him. Obviously, the Broncos are probably out of the equation at this point, but I think the draft capital is going to be there. And even if he goes to the Colts, I think in a tight end premium, his profile is worth considering at the back of the first.
Yeah, I have no disagreements really. I am going to end the skid on Sanders. We don't like Shedeur Sanders, but I think this would be the place to take him. He gets round one draft capital to a place where he's probably going to start right away. I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh depth chart at quarterback, and I don't really, although I do think that there's a world where they do throw Mason Rudolph out there. I think it could be a situation where you remember when the Bears drafted Mitchell Trubisky and they started Mike Glennon for a couple games, and then they realized, oh wait, we just flushed $15 million down the drain or whatever. I think his contract was like 3 years, 45 million or something crazy like that. Um, but Shedeur Sanders would start games in 2025, so I think getting him at
100%.
the 112 feels like a gift. I think so. I'll throw it to you to the 201.
Yeah, I think really anytime after, I suppose if you are desperate, you could convince me to take Sanders at the 109 over Tyler Warren.
I
I
think
don't
he's in
love.
play. I
I
think
think
he's
he's
in
in
play
play.
anywhere
I think
from
he's in play.
109 to
But by the time
112.
we get to the 112, that's kind of like the ironclad, like, all right, it's time for
Mm-hmm.
Shedeur. Like, you cannot let Shedeur be a second round pick, top 5 quarterback, better profile than, like the Kenny Pickett's in the back of the first round. Like, you got to just take the bet that they're going to start for 2 years because
Yep.
statistics say they will. With the 2-1, I'm a little bit torn here between two players. I'm just because we've been mirroring our last mock a little bit too much. I'm gonna go with Caleb Johnson, and
Nice.
I'll choose to lean back into the landing spot because although again, the Giants are not going to draft a QB in the second round and then take Caleb Johnson in the third. That's these rebuilding teams need so much more than that. And anyway, I'm not going to keep derailing off of that, but Caleb Johnson has a path to be a near bell cow running back in New York, or as close to bell cow as we see nowadays without getting it. So a true kind of 1A, 1B. Look, I've been a huge Tyrone Tracy advocate. I will continue to be, but he has a more limited skill set. He is a 1B kind of guy. It's why he was a 5th round pick in the NFL draft. It's why he was a 5th round pick in rookie drafts. It's just the way it is. And then if the Giants go out and take a running back like Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round, in the early 3rd round, that's a massive signal that they have a piece that they want and they want to get him involved. And so having a guy like Caleb Johnson who can be more of a power runner between the goal or between the tackles, can be your goal line back, but can also has enough speed to hit the edge, to get outside. Not Tyrone Tracy speed, but the speed. Tracy will be the 3rd down long distance guy. Of course, he has that edge over Caleb Johnson, but Johnson has pass catching chops too and has an edge. This is a place where he has an edge because Singletary's getting too old to get away with this. So somebody, Johnson or Tracy, has to be out on the field doing the pass blocking, the chip blocks. It's probably going to be Caleb Johnson at the end of the day if he can get his stuff together. So I'd like the opportunity for Caleb Johnson to have a shockingly high opportunity share in his first career season if he were to be drafted by the Giants.
I think you would probably be, if he gets drafted in round 3 at the top of the 3rd round by the Giants, you would see at least a 50-50 split with Tyrone Tracy. I think those two running backs actually complement each other pretty well.
Agreed.
So I think that this would be a really good landing spot, and I was actually considering him at the 112, and I would have taken him at the 202 if you wouldn't have taken him. So good on you. I think too, if you get Ashton Genty and Caleb Johnson in your draft, I think you're going to be doing cartwheels. Similarly, I think you're going to be doing cartwheels if you get Luther Burden at the 202 with Amari and Hampton. I think we have maintained on this show that Luther Burden to the Titans with Cam Ward throwing him the ball isn't a terrible thing. It's maybe not as good as some of these other landing spots. Like clearly it's not as good as the Egbuka landing spot, but in year one, he might get more opportunity because if you look at the Titans depth chart at wide receiver, obviously we have Calvin Ridley at the top, but it's Treylon Burks. They signed Van Jefferson. And then after that, it gets real thin. James Prochet, Bryce Oliver. I don't even know who some of these guys are, to be honest with you. But you would think that Luther Burden here would be right up there with, Matthew Golden and leaders and targets right off the bat. Now, I don't know what the quality of those targets would be because it's Cam Ward, and I don't know how good Cam Ward's going to be right off the bat, but I don't think it's as horrible of a situation as some people might think. And I think getting him here at the 202 is a value. So that's the rationale there. 203, Mr. Babbage.
Yeah, I think Luther Burden's a value there, and that's just the power of this draft. With tight end premium, you're at the early second round. There's going to be someone who you're going to like, and so I'm going to go. Look, it's super flex. So I'm going to go back to the quarterback. We got 2 quarterbacks drafted here in the second round. Again, Browns is ridiculous after Travis Hunter, but look, Dart's going to be a first round or second round pick. Jalen Milroe is going to be a first round or second round pick. So I'm going to go with who I'm leaning right now, and especially given the situation, that's Jalen Milroe.
Oh, I have to change this.
I did a little switcheroo on you.
You pulled a swerve on me.
I think Jalen Milroe has sneaky upside here. I think he is a capable passer. I don't think he is a great passer, but what I think he has going for him is that, yes, Jackson Dart can run a little bit, but Jalen Milroe has that full functional mobility. And within that Giants offense, look, he's got Neighbors as his safety net. He has Wan'Dale Robinson, who is a good separator underneath. Slayton, who is a deep threat and can break defenses off and keep them honest. He has a running game, whether it's Caleb Johnson or someone later, he has a running back and Tyrone Tracy in the backfield. That's not a horrible situation to have yourself surrounded with. And with a rushing floor, I think the upside of Jalen Milroe at the 2-2 2-3 is just a smidge higher than Jackson Dart. We had him back to back the other way in our last mock, and I think I want to flip it here.
It's wild. You remember, so long ago in 2024 when we were doing our rookie drafts, you remember where we were getting Michael Penix and Bo Nix every single time?
Right around here.
Right around here. And now
hit it every
and I agree with you. It was probably like the 111, 112, 201, 202, like in that range.
Yeah.
And I was pressing the button every time. And now I agree with you. If Jalen Milroe winds up with the Giants, which by the way would be good for him. I don't know if the situation is, I don't know if the coaching staff and GM are long for the team long term, but like I agree with this pick. So I think it's just funny to make that comparison. And yes, we need to pick up the pace. So I'll just make this quick. Jackson Dart, if he gets drafted by the Browns, I know there's some chaos there, but I like the coach, and I think Kevin Stefanski, that is. I don't know if the Browns are going to find a better coach, and I think you couldn't really ask for much better to develop a young quarterback. So I'll throw it right back to you at the 205.
I'll go Jaden Higgins here. I love that he's getting projected here in the second round. I think he goes, day 2 for sure, and big-bodied X receiver with a lot of fluidity, and can really help this Patriots team if he were drafted there, or even to the Titans playing boundary receiver for them, or later to the Texans, to the Chargers or Cardinals, all these teams that are getting mocked receivers. So I love both of the Iowa State guys. I like Higgins just a little bit more than Noel, I think, but mostly because of projected draft capital. So we'll see how that plays out.
All right. And I am going to take a running back that I've liked throughout the process, and that's going to be Dylan Sampson. I would assume he would get playing time right alongside Jalen Warren right away. And in that offense, all of a sudden you have, you know, uh, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Jalen Warren. You have Shador Sanders. So I assume they're going to lean on the run. And I think Dylan Sampson would be a really good fit there. So 207 to you.
Between two receivers, once again, I will go with Trey Harris. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna stick to my guns here. Look, I know the reception perception wasn't super pretty, but he was kind of locked into a certain role that, I think the concerns are, can he expand that route tree at the NFL level? I believe the answer is yes, from what I've seen him physically do. If the answer is no, say bye-bye to your Trey Harris shares. Razor's edge difference between him and Jalen Noel here in my rankings.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go Jalen Noel because I don't honestly. I think this fit, and I wish we had more time to talk, really get into Trey Harris to the Chiefs, because if that happens, I think that's a bad sign for Rashee Rice and how they feel about him long term, because they're investing, pretty high draft capital in a wide receiver that I think could do some similar things. Now I think Rashee Rice is hands down a better player, but I think it would be a long-term play for them, and maybe a sign that they think that Rashee Rice's legal troubles are worse than they perceive to be, at least on the surface. But Jalen Noel to the Cardinals, I think it makes too much sense. I think it's a perfect fit with Marvin Harrison on the outside, Jalen Noel in the slot, and Trey McBride at the tight end. I just don't trust this coaching staff in this offense to utilize Jalen Noel properly, because they didn't utilize Marvin Harrison Jr. properly. So that's why he slips here for me. I love Jalen Noel. I would be gobbling him up in the middle of the second round, regardless of landing spot most times. But that's how I feel. So I'll throw it right back to you.
How wild is it, dude? I'll say it right on the air for record. I'll give you $100. I will Venmo you $100 if Royals and Savion Williams both get day 2 draft capital. You know what? I'll piss in my shoe and drink it, and then give you $100.
Okay, you heard it live, or not live, but it's on the YouTube channel. It's out there in the ether.
Dang, I should have said that.
I do
have
think
said that.
it's got to happen now on the show.
There's no way.
All right. Yeah, I would be floored if Jalen Royals gets taken around.
I should finish my thought there. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna go with Elijah Arroyo, so I don't have to. No, I'm gonna pivot.
Okay.
I'm gonna pivot. Mason Taylor.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean I don't hate it, but you're Mr. Tight End. So
no, I'm gonna flip again. Elijah Arroyo.
So either way, tight end.
These players are all back to back in my rankings, and I'm trying to figure out who I like more with all these. But the Chargers definitely a more friendly situation than the Jets, so we'll get that out there. And Arroyo is my top guy anyway. Mason Taylor is close. He and Terrence Ferguson are the two that I have right behind Elijah Arroyo. So it is pretty close to me, but I'm going to go Arroyo here. I like what he did at Miami. He's a little bit, he's a bigger guy. So like, unlike Fannin, you're not going to really have to worry about him not being able to block. And in that Chargers offense, I think he fits a lot better than Mason Taylor does in the Jets, although the pick 42 draft capital with Mason Taylor is a little bit enticing.
I think now's the time to take Cam Scatabo.
I just didn't want to do it.
I understand. Just on the record, I don't think the Chiefs are making this pick. I don't think the Chiefs would have much interest in a Cam Scatabo like running back. I get it. They used Kareem Hunt this past year, who's maybe you could argue is similar to Cam Scatabo at this stage of his career. But I just don't think that pairing with him and Isaiah Pacheco makes sense. I think it makes much more sense for them to take, a Trevor Etienne or a Bashul Tootin or somebody that's undersized that can catch passes. And I know Cam Scatterbo can catch passes too, but he just doesn't have the burst that I think the Chiefs would be looking for. So, and I could be wrong. I don't know, but I think this would be about where he would go. Heck, he'd probably go higher if he went to the Chiefs, honestly, in your friends league, but I'll throw it to you at the 211.
I will happily take Kyle Williams with day 2 draft capital. One of the more underrated receivers of this class, but it's because he went to Washington State and doesn't have a super cool name. So Kyle Williams really flies under the radar, but can burn defenses. He runs crisp routes. He's got the size to kind of play a dynamic role in the NFL. And if he gets a day 2 sign off by a team, it is wheels up.
That leaves me at the 212. And honestly, some of these landing spots just really, really hurt my soul. And I'm going to throw up round 4 because I might be diving into round 4, honestly. Yeah, I'm going to be diving into round 4. I'm just going to take the upside shot with Bashul Tootin if he lands with the Chargers. And this could be a trap. I totally get it. But man, that Bashul Tootin can fly. Again, I don't think stylistically this makes a ton of sense. And I know we're over time, so I'm going to try to make this short. But why Dane Brugler? Like Cam Scatterbo makes much more sense to the Chargers, and Bashul Tootin makes much more sense for the Chiefs. At least that's what from watching these two teams play and their stylistic. I mean, can you imagine Cam Scatterbo running behind the Chargers offensive line with those two tackles? Like
It would be fun to watch.
that would
I'll
be
say
better
that.
for him. And the Chiefs, who are, they're struggling at the edges there, they would likely need some faster running backs. I don't know. That's just my humble opinion. But regardless, Bashul Tootin is the pick here for me. And that rounds out round 3. We're going to have to hustle. If we're going to get through 3 rounds, we're definitely going to go over an hour. But hey, it's the NFL draft week. We can break some rules. So I'll throw it
Yeah,
to
I'm
you.
gonna
301.
I'm gonna take Alec Ayumanor. One of my favorite receivers in this draft. I have him behind Jalen. I think I have him right behind Jalen Noel. Ahead of Kyle Williams for sure. That was more landing spot related. But even to the Packers here in round 3, day 2 capital, that's a great sign off. That's what I'm thinking he's going to get. And the Packers are a little bit more of a crowded room, but there's room for somebody to actually break through. And them drafting a receiver would be another signal of, look, we're not confident what we have here. If you can go out and be the man, Alec, then you're going to be the man. So there's going to be room for a number 1 role to be carved out there. So I'll take Alec.
I honestly can't believe that we just let Jalen. I get it, Jalen Royals, but if he gets drafted round 2 to
Yeah, I know.
the Texans, I think that because I was gonna ask you about this because I would have taken Jalen Royals if I were you, because I just don't like the Packers landing spot. I like if Jaden Reed's going to be used on 50-60% of snaps, they already have Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubs, Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs. I just don't know where he fits in there. I mean,
He fits in
you're
by
bet
being
you're
better than everyone.
yeah, you're betting on talent. Yeah, as I was just about to say, like that's the bet you're making. And I agree. I would agree with you, but I don't know if I trust Matt LaFleur really at all. But I'll throw it right back to you. 303. Jalen Royals, Texans, round 2. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But 303, Mr. Babbage.
I will go back to the receiver well. And actually, geez, I'm going to keep flip flopping. I'm going to go with RJ Harvey here.
Good pick.
Patriots, I like that landing spot. Stevenson's time is coming to an end in New England soon. I think he could actually maybe even take over the Gibson role early on and then start cracking his way into the offense that way. So I would love to see Harvey join my Patriots there. But either way, and like in the top 4 rounds, I think he's going to find himself a nice home if that's the type of draft capital he's getting.
Yeah, no, I love it. And just on its face, at least for me, And I did one of these mock drafts, and I think I made mistakes by not taking some of these day 3 running backs over these round 3 wide receivers, as much as I like some of these round 3 wide receivers. And I'll admit right off the jump that this pick is a homer pick for me. I want Devin Neal. If Devin Neal falls to day 3, I will have a ton of Devin Neal because I think it's a bet on talent. And right now, the Saints, I think, I don't know if they will, should, if this is what their season's going to be with Tyler Shuck and company and no Derek Carr, they should punt this year and look to trade potentially Alvin Kamara and some of their other options. So you just never know what can happen. And really, outside of Alvin Kamara, maybe Kendre Miller, I think he could earn some snaps right away. But that's just my opinion as my computer's freezing right now and I can't click on anything. But I'll throw it to you. I think maybe I put up Devin Neal. I can't
You
remember,
did.
but
You did.
okay. So
Uh,
it might be a minute, but I will catch up as my computer catches up.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna go with Jack Besh here at the 3-5, getting the Panthers in round 3. Close enough. Welcome back, Adam Thielen. He's not even gone, but they already got his replacement. No, he's a phenomenal route runner in terms of how he's been graded there, and can play the slot, can play a little bit outside too. He has some size, so if that's in a wide open situation like Carolina, if he's getting that type of draft capital, he has the talent to make that bet in the 3rd round.
That's a great pick. That's just a good football player right there in Jack Besh. And I'm just gonna keep going down. And some of these tight end landing spots are tempting, but I'm gonna just keep on picking running backs that I like in good situations. And if the Commanders take DJ Giddens in round 4, sign me up, man, because look at their situation. I mean, I know you got Brian Robinson there, but this is an offense I want pieces of, as evidenced by my Emeka Egbuka pick earlier. And, they have Austin Eckler there. Jeremy McNichols is still on the roster, according to our lads. But sooner rather than later, and this is a long term play, I think there's a world 2 to 3 years from now, DJ Giddens is their lead running back. It could happen. So in round 3, I'm willing to take that chance.
Same thing with Ollie Gordon and the Raiders. Actually, like
Yep.
that landing spot a lot there. I think Ollie's become an underrated prospect. Like just because he didn't have, a world beating year last year. I get it, you're in college. You should be doing it, even if your team is bad. But he kind of went through some legal trouble, had a little bit of a rough season, but that's how he chooses to respond to that. And if he responds positively to it and, gets to work, especially for a team like the Raiders who desperately need a starting running back and, clearly have, you generally had a philosophy of running the ball, and it's probably going to be a guy like Ollie Gordon who has a sneaky pass catching ability to him that not a lot of people give him credit for. Could be a 3 down back in Las Vegas his rookie year, depending on how else they choose to spend at that position.
Well, in this scenario, it would be him, Raheem Mostert, Zamir White, Sincere McCormick in the backfield, and you can't tell me that he couldn't earn touches in year 1.
He's got
Because
a
he could.
70+% opportunity share in that backfield.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
Week 5 on 70+%. I mean, he's getting 20.
Yeah,
He's getting
when Raheem
18
Mostert
carries a
gets
game.
hurt, yeah. When Raheem Mostert gets hurt, yes,
That's
I
okay. The second drive.
Yeah. I hear you. I'm gonna take Jordan James, because similarly to Ollie Gordon, I believe he goes to the Browns with the first pick or not the first pick, but early on in day 3. And right now, the Browns don't have much at the running back position. They can't afford to really spend at the running back position. They have Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong. I think Jordan James would get touches in year 1, and I think he would. I think I didn't similar like when I remember we were having these debates with Jerry Jeudy, and I remember Maddie saying, "I didn't expect to be the one defending Jerry Jeudy on this panel," or something to that effect. I didn't expect to be this person out here defending Jordan James because I think he's a good, not great running back prospect. But look at his numbers at Oregon. Look what he did when Bucky Irving was there. I mean, the guy can play football. He's good. He's not as, I don't think he's as elite as some of these other prospects that we've already taken, but he's serviceable, and I think he would get opportunity right away there. So I'll throw it to you, 309, where pace is picking up. We're an hour in. Like if you like it. Subscribe if you want more of it. Mr.
I'm going to
Babbage.
take Damian Martinez in the 49ers.
And we keep the running back streak going.
A
Yes.
very good running back who I could actually see taking over that backfield when the time comes. Jordan Mason out of there. And I'm not the biggest Garendo guy. I don't think he's this world beater. I think Damian Martinez in that system is going to look way better. So I think he's kind of the last of this tier of running backs right now for me.
Yeah. That leaves me with, because I'm going to go back here because we still have like some tight ends. And I have to admit that Harold Fannin to the Eagles really intrigues me, even though I'm not the biggest Harold Fannin guy. But I think that would signal that maybe they move on from Dallas Goedert. And if that's the case, we get a bargain here at the 310 in a tight end premium league. So 311 to you.
I'm going to do something crazy.
Oh, geez.
Round 4 to the Dolphins, Dylan Gabriel.
I love it, actually.
Back of the third round in a super
him.
flex. That's a pick where people next year could be like, are you freaking kidding me, dude? I can't believe you got Dylan Gabriel in the back of the third when he's starting games for Miami probably at some point this season.
Yeah. No, because, I was kind of like, I had Dylan Gabriel as my quarterback 5, I think, before John Love came on the show and just talked him up. But yeah, ever since then, I've been all in on Dylan Gabriel. He's definitely somebody that I'm truthering for. Let's, the 312, let's see. We could take another quarterback that's okay, not as good as Dylan Gabriel. The Gabriel thing kind of threw me for a loop. Let's go Terrence Ferguson. He goes to the Broncos here. I know Evan Ingram is there, so it kind of mucks the waters a little bit in year 1, but I like that landing spot long term, and I like the player, so I'll go there. And we're through 3 rounds, 2 rounds to go.
I'll take Ty
401, Mr.
Felton.
Babbage. Good
landing
pick.
at the Jaguars here at round 4. I don't love round 4 for Ty Felton, but I think, that's about the basis to where I can still stick to this like mid 3rd, early 4th round pick for him. So I think the talent is going to shine through there in Jacksonville if he gets there.
Yeah, and so we have some of these round 3 guys left, and I think I'm begrudgingly going to take Quinn Ewers. I don't really want to, but I feel as though the value's kind of drying up here, and I don't love some of my other options. And you tell me if this is crazy. If Quinn Ewers gets drafted by the Seahawks in round 3, I mean, it's not a sure thing that Sam Darnold is just going to be good. That was one of the moves at this offseason that I didn't understand really at all. I didn't like it for the Seahawks. I wouldn't have done it. But I think that there's a chance that Sam Darnold, because Clint Kubiak is not, as much as I think he's a good offensive coordinator, he's not Kevin O'Connell. And so, I like the Seahawks weapons, but they don't have DK Metcalf anymore. And Tyler Lockett's gone. And JSN, as much as we like him, he's not Justin Jefferson. Okay. And as far as I know, they don't have a TJ Hawkinson or a Jordan Addison yet. So what I'm saying to you is I think that there's a possibility that Quinn Ewers
All this to say Quinn Ewers could start games. Of course, Seth.
he gets some starts in year one. I don't think it's crazy.
Of course, it's not crazy. We're at the 4-2. You got a guy that's drafted that highly. You just got to take a shot on him. And honestly, it's why we're probably going to get some of these picks out of the way here. Mason Taylor at the 4-3. Don't love it. But
I honestly forgot about him.
Drafted in the second round. Look, yeah. I lied. I went back to my rankings. Ferguson is above Taylor. Just look at his production. Look at Taylor's production profile and tell me if you think he's going to be doing anything in the NFL. Because it's not good.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly thought you took him because you did your switcheroos earlier. I would have taken Mason Taylor a lot higher. I actually have him as my tight end 3, so I probably would have taken him where I took Harold Fannin at the worst. But we'll leave it. It's fine. We're too far down the road now, and I don't want to make any switches. So actually, I like Mason Taylor, and that landing spot was. I think it's a good, not great landing spot for being with the Jets. Good pick. That made tremendous value. I think I'm going to go Kyle McCord again in Superflex. Kyle McCord goes to the Rams, and it may turn into nothing because Matthew Stafford's there, and we just aren't sure when he's going to retire. But it's just me taking a shot on a quarterback that I think is okay. I think, could be a Case Keenum type journeyman. Maybe. I think that's his upside, but probably not. I'll throw it right back to you.
I'll take Shuck. Why not?
Oh, man. I forgot he was on the board, too. I'm just freaking... because Shuck...
they're not good, so, like,
this
who cares,
is bad. This is bad on us. Shuck should have been gone a long time ago.
Well, we're an hour and 6 minutes in, and we got, like, 20 picks left. What do you...
Because Anyway. Oh, well. We're just hating on Tyler Shuck here because there's no world where it doesn't matter. Well, there's no world where I would have taken Quinn Ewers over Tyler. I just forgot those two players were available.
I started highlighting people so that I could keep track.
He's just so far down my rankings. Why don't we do this to save face? Can we just switch Quinn Ewers and Tyler Shuck?
Yes, we can do that.
All right. We can remove player. And this is really not saving face really at all because he's still way too low.
Look, this is your sign that you can just pass on Tyler Shuck. If this happens, even if this happens, you can pass on him. It doesn't matter. He's bad.
Yeah.
It's okay to take people when they actually have some upside. He has no upside. So it's fine. You just don't have to take him.
Yeah, he would get drafted way ahead of this, though. Like, anyway, so apologies for that, but I honestly, like, I don't know what happened with my brain. I forgot him and Mason Taylor, I just forgot existed for a second. Your pick at the 406.
It is your pick at the 406.
I took Kyle or wait a second.
You already forgot that you switched them.
It's been a long day. My son took a massive deuce today.
Let's hyperdrive the rest of these.
Okay. We're fading fast.
We're fading very fast. We gotta speed run this shit.
Let's see. That guy's gone. Harold Fannin's gone.
Great radio.
Oh yeah. This is quality. This is what the people tune in for. Because now I'm paranoid, now I'm like, who am I forgetting?
Take Trevor Etienne.
Who am I forgetting? Like which player? Actually, I'm just gonna take Savion Williams. Because that's probably a stupid pick, but whatever. He gets round 3. Brashard Smith.
Yeah, I'll take Brashard Smith.
Yeah, Savion Williams. I honestly, he's a prospect that I don't know what to do about. Really. But he goes to the Seahawks in round 3, and maybe he's there. I can't even say it with a straight face. Oh, we forgot Torrey Horton. Torrey Horton to the Chargers.
Torrey Horton?
Yeah.
I highlighted him because I was gonna take him, and then I didn't take him.
This too many landing spots. We're overwhelmed with all these landing spots. People are yelling at us. This might be the most cockamamie rookie
Oh,
mock,
this
and
is.
this is getting bad fast. This is what
Oh
happens when you're trying to
man.
rush picks.
All right, let's try and fix this by saying that Horton probably would have been like right around Ty Felton, maybe Harold Fannin area, somewhere between there.
So you want to fix Horton, but you
I'm not saying
shucks.
no. I'm not saying. I'm saying verbally. I'm not saying you actually go do it,
Oh,
Seth.
okay. All right.
Oh, we lost
Oh,
all of our steam. This is all right.
this
Gunner
might
Helm,
be
just
Gunner.
throw them on there.
It's like this is like your redraft league. Once you get past round 8 or 9, they're just like you guys are just walking up to the board
This
intoxicated.
guy.
Like I guess I'll take a kicker. Which defense? Who has Christian McCaffrey been taken yet? Like this is where we are, folks. This is pure entertainment at this point. So hold on. Let me see. Who else did we forget to draft?
We didn't. I
Can draft?
promise you, we haven't. We did not forget anybody else.
All
I
right.
swear to you.
We're officially on to the day 3 guys. And let me just
Trevor
glance over.
Etienne's highest drafted player available.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Travis Etienne fan, or Trevor Etienne, not Travis. Trevor Etienne. Jarquez Hunter for me is going to be my pick.
Okay, good pick.
So I think he actually could compete for some touches there, although I do like Chuba Hubbard. But if I can, and we have a whole nother round to go, by the way.
I'll take Trevor Etienne.
Cool. Like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, like this video.
Yeah, this is going really
Go to one
well.
of our other ones and then like that video and then subscribe.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Jaden Blue because I like him, and I don't think the Vikings is a horrible landing spot.
I'll say that I'm
So
excited
now
to get. Sorry. Oh, now we're in the 5th round. Yeah. I am excited to get back on the live schedule so we could start having these moments with an audience. That will be a good time. I'll take Xavier Restrepo. I think 5th round is given the 40-yard time in a round 6 draft capital, pushing him to round 5. I guess I'll still take a shot on him.
Yeah, in this scenario, where did he go?
Broncos, so not the worst landing spot for round 6
Broncos
capital.
in round 5 or
6.
6. Okay. Yeah, that's man. How the mighty have fallen. Let me just make sure, because I'm really I'm gonna take Will Howard. Why not? Will Howard. We may have found our breaking point. A 5-round rookie mock draft with 7 rounds of landing spots.
All right,
might have been
Gadsden, please.
Aronde Gadsden.
Yes.
Oh, and but before somebody like schools me in the chat, not a rookie draft, where you can take your time and you have 8 hours per pick. We got to make all these picks in an hour because we're adults with mortgages and lives. So you took Gadsden. All right, I'm just gonna take the next quarterback, Riley Leonard, I'm gonna fill out my roster with all these quarterbacks that probably won't ever amount to anything. But hey, you never know. One of them might turn into Brock Purdy. Woody Marks for you. Let's be honest. Let us know what you think of this 5th round. Do you think what's going on here? I'll take LaQuint Allen. I actually think that's actually a good landing spot.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
Texans.
I'll go Jalen Lane, round 4 capital to the Bills. I don't think that happens, but
so fun fact: Jalen Lane is not in here.
Sweet.
So we're gonna put Aju is gonna be.
There we go. Aju.
I don't even know if he's a real player. I'm sure he is if he's in here. Let's go to Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. For me, just take a shot on a running back here going to Arizona. He's buried there, but so are a lot of these other options.
I'll go Nick Nash in the Lions.
Nick Nash.
Yeah.
Because I I just like this player, and I'm going to stand on a bridge for him. Marcus Yarns. I know he didn't get drafted, but I want him.
Oh my lord. Yeah, like Brugler. Had me forgetting about Marcus Yarns. I would have probably drafted him a lot higher. I'll do Khalil Mullings. Yeah, Khalil Mullings.
Mullings, and I will round it out with Taj Brooks.
That's who I was debating the other.
Who you can't see it on the screen, but he gets drafted by the Dolphins in round 7. And we did it. We may have fucked up a few picks, okay? you can't get mad at us because we gave you a 5-round rookie mock draft
We
with
tried
landing
our
spots
best.
that I gave Matt Babich about 2 minutes before the show. Okay? So if you're mad, click the like button. If you're happy, click the like button. Either way, subscribe to the channel. Matt Babich, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No.
No.
NHL
right,
playoffs
everybody.
are on. I'll do that thing again.
Well, I'll say this. It's draft week, bitches. NFL draft week is here. 3 days away from we're actually going to have the landing spots, and we're actually going to be able to know how wrong Dane Brugler was. Wouldn't it be great if we could all have a job where we could just be as wrong as you could possibly be in your given profession? I understand. You know, you're not going to be right 100% of the time. You know, I thought a weatherman had it easy, but Mel Kiper, all these guys, they can just throw stuff out at the wall, you know, write things down in their ledger, their piece of paper, and be wrong like so much. And, you know, I guess we're going to be wrong too. So everybody can be wrong together in this concocted world of mock drafts. And it's finally almost over. We can actually have the answers to the test. I'm so excited. Anyway, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. Wiseman for Heisman. Follow us on Twitter at Babbage_Matt10, at Seth Dewald, at Seth_DIEWLD. This is the longest conclusion ever. We'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye now.